My family is known as the Williams dynasty in Boston's medical community. St. Mary Memorial Hospital, its building overlooking the Charles River with grace, has been leading New England's medical care since its founding in 1890. Particularly in cardiac surgery, it ranks among the top 10 nationwide, and its modern appearance embodies the harmony between history and innovation. My mother reigns as the chairperson of this prestigious hospital. Margaret Williams. It's not uncommon for her single word to dramatically change the lives of doctors in this region. Showing a compassionate smile while making cold-hearted decisions, that's my mother's true nature. Every Sunday, she hosts a family dinner at our family home in the upscale Back Bay district. For me, it was hours of endurance. Catherine, tonight's wine should be Chateau Margaux, vintage 2000. I quietly nodded and headed to the cellar. It's been 3 years since I became a live-in worker at my family's mansion. Not once have I defied Mother's words. While walking down the stairs, I was careful to muffle even my own footsteps. A white blouse and gray skirt. That was my uniform in this house. Working as a researcher at a pharmaceutical company, and 3 days a week as a clinical trial coordinator at the family hospital. Despite graduating with honors through graduate school, why am I living such a life? Only one person in this world knows the answer. The marble hallways of the mansion are always filled with silence. That oppressive air was pierced by my sister Ashley's voice. Hey, you're not planning to wear that to dinner tonight, are you? At least put on a Hermes scarf. Working as a dermatologist while being active as an Instagram influencer, she's Mother's favorite daughter. She broadcasts her perfect life daily to her 100,000 followers. Elegant consultation scenes at St. Mary, meals at high-end restaurants, weekend yacht trips, of course, my image never appears in any of them. Don't worry. I'll change into my usual uniform for serving. Ashley nodded with satisfaction at my words. While adjusting the collar of her Chanel tweed jacket, she was absorbed in her new post screen. My father George, as the hospital's management planning director, is always subservient to Mother's wishes. He shows no interest in anything besides his hobbies of golf and luxury car collecting, and maintains silence regarding my treatment. His Mercedes S-Class collection is his pride, but he seems to have completely abdicated any say in family matters. Every Sunday dinner. In front of the luxurious table illuminated by crystal chandeliers, Mother always boasts about Ashley's social media success. When she speaks proudly about her daughter, it was clear that my existence wasn't included. On the pure white tablecloth, silver cutlery coldly reflects the light. After finishing serving, I returned to the kitchen and glanced out the window. The Charles River's flow remained unchanged today. Colleagues often ask me, why don't you move out? Despite receiving high evaluations as a researcher, why do I submit to such treatment? I don't answer. I just whisper in my heart. Someday, everything will change. Until that day, I'll endure. Because that's our promise. The chandelier light softly swayed in the private room of the plaza. Light particles from the crystal prisms danced quietly on the deep red carpet. Outside the window, the sun was setting over the Charles River. The evening sun's remaining light sparkled with ripples on the water's surface. White truffle risotto, poached Maine lobster, grilled American prime beef, the aroma of the luxurious course meal wafted through the heavy air. Mother closed the wine list that the sommelier respectfully presented after just a glance. Chateau Lafite Rothschild, 1986. I nodded silently at those words. During the decanting, Ashley was constantly operating her smartphone. I quietly finished pouring the wine and stepped back. At that moment, Ashley pulled out her latest iPad. The rose gold gleam peeking from her Birkin bag reflected her smug expression. On Ashley's wrist sparkled the Cartier bracelet Mother had given her for her birthday. Look, look! These are photos from our family cruise. As Ashley's fingertip tapped the screen, photos of the luxury cruise ship appeared. The latest ship from Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. The family smiling on deck, sunset dinner scenes, relaxing moments by the private pool. Perfect family photos, unfolded one after another. Mother gazed at Ashley's photos while touching her pearl necklace. Father occasionally nodded while adjusting the collar of his Brooks Brothers suit. 2 weeks in the Caribbean was absolutely amazing. The whole family went. The captain's dinner was wonderful too. Mom, your dress was gorgeous. Mother nodded contentedly while tilting her wine glass. Her Chanel tweed suit elegantly reflected the chandelier light. Father silently cut his steak, but a faint smile played on his lips. What trip? The words escaped my mouth before I could stop them. The room's atmosphere froze for a moment. The sound of knife and fork touching plates rang unnaturally clear. Ashley placed her iPad down slowly, wearing a malicious smile. Gracefully adjusting the collar of her Chanel tweed jacket, she looked down at me condescendingly. Well, you don't have a family, do you? You're our housekeeper. The parents laughed softly. Their laughter left a strange echo in the high-end restaurant's silence. Moët and Chandon champagne raised tiny bubbles in the glass. Curious glances were cast from surrounding tables. The sound of the bartender dropping ice cubes seemed unusually clear. I unconsciously gripped the edge of the quality tablecloth tightly. Oh yes, Mom was telling the captain we have 2 daughters. Oh, sorry. Looks like she wasn't counting you. Ashley added more words while checking her SNS live streaming screen. In the corner of the screen, the number of heart marks was steadily increasing. Ashley, you don't need to be so mean. Mother's voice carried not a trace of reprimand. Rather, it had a tone of pride in her daughter's cleverness. Her brilliant cut diamond earrings sparkled with the movement of her neck. My hands were trembling slightly. To hide it, I gripped my uniform skirt tightly. Even as I tried to concentrate, my vision became slightly blurred. The chandelier light swayed in multiple rings. I'm thinking of going to the Maldives next. I'm planning it as a hospital staff trip. Of course, servants. At that moment, I quietly stood up and took my smartphone. All eyes in the room turned to me at once. Attention filled the room, as if an obedient housekeeper had suddenly raised the flag of rebellion. The heavy damask curtains swayed slightly, though there was no wind. Then, I'll call my family. After announcing this in a calm voice, I unlocked my smartphone screen. I carefully hid the waiting screen image from Mother and the others. What are you talking about? You don't have any family, do you? Ashley's voice was slightly pitched. Her perfectly applied lipstick had smeared slightly. Mother silently stared at me, and Father hurriedly brought wine to his mouth. Another one of your delusions? You really are a troublesome child. Just as Ashley began to show a relieved expression at Mother's words, the restaurant door slowly opened. The heavy wooden door made a creaking sound. At that sound, Ashley's smartphone for SNS Live streaming nearly slipped from her hand. From beyond the door, the sound of high heels began to be heard. Those footsteps resonated elegantly yet authoritatively on the restaurant's luxury marble floor. Christian Louboutin's crimson soles released a definite presence with each step. Elizabeth Montgomery. The moment she appeared, the room's atmosphere completely changed. Her Tom Ford navy pantsuit highlighted her dignified bearing with perfect tailoring. The Van Cleef & Arpels necklace sparkling at her blouse collar emanated quiet dignity without asserting its presence. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Catherine." Her voice was soft, yet conveyed inner strength. The color drained from Ashley's face. Mother's hand slightly tightened its grip on the wine glass. Father dropped his napkin as he hurried to stand up. Elizabeth smiled gracefully, as if seeing through such agitation. "Elizabeth. Why are you here?" Mother's voice showed rare agitation. "Actually, I have an important announcement." Elizabeth stood beside me and casually placed her hand on my shoulder. That warmth felt like it was releasing something within me. "Chairperson Margaret, are you aware of the decision made at the recent board meeting?" Elizabeth's voice was calm yet harbored firm resolve. "What do you mean?" Ashley tried to interject, but her words stopped midway at Elizabeth's glance. "I have been nominated as the next chairperson candidate for St. Mary Memorial Hospital." The chandelier light illuminated Elizabeth's refined profile. "You must be joking? You're still." "My surgery success rate is 98%. I perform over 400 surgeries annually, bringing the hospital $10 million in revenue per year." Elizabeth's words were filled with unwavering confidence backed by data and achievements. "But why here today?" Mother's voice trembled slightly. "That's because." Saying this, Elizabeth took my hand. That gesture contained all the emotions we had been hiding until now. "Catherine is my partner." The room's air froze. Ashley's SNS live stream suddenly cut off. Only the words, "connection error," flashed on the screen. "We met 2 years ago at a medical conference. I was captivated by Catherine's clinical trial research presentation." Elizabeth's voice continued quietly. Her research held the potential to dramatically improve cardiac surgery success rates. But even more than that, what captured my heart was her kindness and strength. I gently squeezed Elizabeth's hand back. "You too, you mean?" Father's voice was hoarse. "I was raised in a Christian home. It took me a long time to face my true nature." Elizabeth looked at me. At that moment, the love reflected in her eyes felt like it healed all the pain from the past. But when I met Catherine, I was able to accept my true self for the first time. And I've been building my strength to protect her. "Wait, this is..." Mother tries to stand up. "Chairperson Margaret, I know everything Catherine has endured until now." Elizabeth's voice grew more severe. "Treating your daughter like a servant, excluding her from family trips, hiding her existence on social media. Is this truly the face of St. Mary Memorial Hospital's chairperson's family?" Ashley clutched her smartphone with trembling hands. Her world of perfect posts was about to crumble in an instant. When Mother started to say something, Elizabeth quietly raised her hand. I would stake the chairperson position. What I want to protect is Catherine. At those words, Mother's expression changed dramatically. Putting on a contrived smile, she lowered her voice to say, "Oh my, we're family too. If we talk." However, Elizabeth's eyes didn't waver. The reason Catherine started working here as a live-in servant 3 years ago. It was because you used her to try to get close to me. Elizabeth drew me closer. Your plan produced unexpected results. In the Boston church where I grew up, my father repeated the same sermon every Sunday. Elizabeth's voice quietly echoed in the private room. The chandelier light gently illuminated her refined profile. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. 1 Corinthians, chapter 13. Father drew a small breath at the words flowing from Elizabeth's lips. As a Christian and as a doctor, I've always tried to walk the right path. But until I met true love, I kept deceiving myself. Elizabeth gently squeezed my hand. The warmth of that hand seemed to heal all past pain. I met Catherine exactly 2 years ago. Her clinical trial research presentation stirred my heart as a cardiac surgeon. Mother tried to interrupt, but Elizabeth continued speaking quietly yet powerfully. Chairperson Margaret wanted to make me her successor. She used Catherine for that purpose. Had her live at home to create points of contact with me. Ashley grabbed her wine glass with trembling hands. Her perfectly maintained expression was slowly crumbling. But the chairperson's calculations were off. I was indeed drawn to Catherine. But it wasn't just for her research abilities or her conduct in the hospital. Elizabeth's voice carried even stronger emotion. Witnessing how she was treated by her family, I made a decision. To gain power to protect the one I love. Wait. Mother strained her voice. We never. Really? Elizabeth's gaze pierced Mother sharply. Treating Catherine like a servant, excluding her from family trips, erasing her existence from social media. Is this how you treat a beloved family member? A heavy silence fell in the restaurant's private room. The Charles River's night view wavered in the window glass. Chairperson, Elizabeth's voice became more solemn. My surgery success rate is 98%. I perform over 400 surgeries annually, bringing the hospital $10 million in revenue per year. The board's selection of me as the next chairperson candidate is purely based on merit. At those words, Mother's expression changed completely. Putting on a contrived smile, she lowered her voice to say, "Well, Elizabeth, we're family too." Such a small misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? For the first time, I raised my voice. Though trembling, it carried definite will. Mom, I remember everything from these 3 years. Ashley's words, Dad's indifference, and your cold gaze. Ashley hurriedly picked up her smartphone. However, her fingers were trembling too much to operate the screen properly. As a researcher and clinical trial coordinator, I take pride in my work. Meeting Elizabeth, we've achieved wonderful research results together. I slowly stood up. Elizabeth placed her hand on my back supportively. But I found something even more precious. True love. Mother desperately tried to control the situation. Catherine, think about your position. Your reputation at the hospital. That's precisely the heart of the issue, Elizabeth declared in a dignified voice. I choose Catherine over the chairperson position at St. Mary Memorial Hospital. Elizabeth. Mother's voice rose. Your career. I built my career on ability. I've received an offer from Brigham and Women's Hospital. At those words, the color drained from Mother's face. The name of Boston's most prestigious hospital carried heavy weight. For 3 years, I endured everything for today. I gripped Elizabeth's hand tightly and quietly declared. We no longer need to hide. Ashley's smartphone fell on the table. The words, "connection error," from the cut-off live stream were still flashing on the screen. Go. An unexpected voice made everyone turn. It was Father. That's enough, Father closed his eyes tiredly. We lost sight of what was important. At those words, Mother collapsed into her chair. Ashley stared blankly out the window. Elizabeth took my hand and quietly headed toward the door. Her back radiated unwavering determination. At the door, Elizabeth turned back. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. The final verse from 1 Corinthians quietly echoed. And love never fails. We left the private room hand in hand. The Charles River's night view sparkled as if blessing the beginning of our new life. One morning a year later, the morning sun streamed into our office on the top floor of Brigham and Women's Hospital. Catherine, there's a reply from the New England Journal of Medicine. Elizabeth looked up from her computer screen. A light of joy dwelled in her eyes. Was it accepted? Yes. Our clinical trial results will finally be recognized by the world. I rushed to Elizabeth and took her hand. A new cardiac surgery method and the innovative medication protocol supporting it. Our research of 2 years would finally be published in the world's most prestigious medical journal. Congratulations, Dr. Montgomery. Jane, the secretary, brought in coffee. She was a nurse who previously worked at St. Mary. Many staff followed Elizabeth when she transferred. Thank you. But that name will change soon too. Elizabeth gently touched the engagement ring shining on my left ring finger. Next month, we were scheduled to exchange eternal vows in a small church in Provincetown. Outside the window, the spring sunlight sparkled on the Charles River. St. Mary Memorial Hospital, visible on the opposite shore, had lost its former glory. Distrust in Mother's authoritarian management style led to the departure of excellent doctors. Ashley's incident dealt another blow to the hospital's reputation. Her social media followers drastically decreased after that night. Her recent posts were accompanied by hashtags like #lonely and #familybonds. The struggle to find a new workplace seemed to be teaching her many things. Catherine, look. Elizabeth pointed at my cell phone. A notification for a new email was flashing on the screen. The sender was, surprisingly, from Father. Dear Catherine, today is your birthday. Over this past year, I've thought about many things. And I realized that we had lost sight of something important. The other day, I spoke with the pastor at church. He told me, love has no form. But it's certainly there. Until now, I was too caught up in appearances and propriety. I couldn't think about your happiness in its true sense. Would it be possible for me to attend next month's ceremony? Of course, only if you and Elizabeth would allow it. Awaiting your reply. With love. Father. Warm tears rolled down my cheeks. Catherine. Elizabeth gently embraced me. Just then, another email arrived from Father. P.S. Your mother is starting to change bit by bit too. The other day, she was murmuring, what were we trying to protect? It might take time. But surely we too will. Let's write back. Elizabeth's voice resonated gently. Let's explore a new form of family together. I began writing my email to Father. Outside the window, the spring light on the Charles River seemed to shine brighter than before. Around the same time, in the chairperson's office at St. Mary Memorial Hospital, Margaret Williams was staring at an invitation placed on her desk. Golden letters were engraved on high-quality white paper. With sincere greetings. We hope you can celebrate the beginning of our new life with us. Catherine Williams. Elizabeth Montgomery. Faint tears glistened in Mother's eyes. She quietly stood up and walked to the window. Brigham and Women's Hospital gleamed in the morning sun across the river. I'll go. Those words weren't directed at anyone. However, her voice contained new hope. Ashley's smartphone received a message from her sister for the first time in a long while. Dear Ashley, I saw your Instagram. Would you like to have tea sometime? At my new laboratory. Awaiting your reply. From Catherine. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then slowly began typing. Can I come? Actually, I've wanted to say this for so long. I'm sorry. And thank you. The spring breeze had begun weaving a new story by the Charles River.